everyone, Amzol Adam here. In today's video, we're going to be working on the BMW a little bit some more. But first off, I'd like to say Happy New Year. It's New Year's Day. I think like most of you, I'm pretty glad to be putting 2020 behind us, and I'm looking forward to 2021. Really hoping it's going to be a better year. We'll just have to wait and see. Some things that I want to take note of for the upcoming 2020 year is, as far as the trucking channel part of it goes, our trucking adventure, as I've been calling it. As you know, that most of it has been a training process with Marcel so that I can get qualified to drive on my own. And I've achieved that goal. Those miles are there, paperwork is being submitted, and it shouldn't be too much longer now before I can run my own truck. And most of you know that my son is in the process of getting hired on 2 North American van lines as well. And then he will come onto my truck as a trainee. And the ultimate goal is he will primarily run that truck so that when our motorcycle season picks back up and we start doing rallies again, then he can pretty much run the truck. I can go out and do the rally thing, which I absolutely love doing. And then when I'm not doing rallies, I can come back and I can run a truck with him and we can work together. So that's moving along nice. I think the content, as far as that goes, is going to get much better once I have my own truck. Keep in mind, working with Marcel, he's the boss. It's his truck, they're his accounts, it's his jobs basically, and I'm getting paid kind of a day labor to help move the furniture in and do the training process. It's not good money by any means, but it's an education that's critical to being successful at the endeavor that we're trying to do. So I'm happy that it's happening. But with that being said, I haven't wanted to spend a whole lot of time making videos and doing stuff because I'm on his dime. Once we have our own truck, I think we're going to get a little bit more detailed into how everything works between paperwork and loading and how to load the truck and everything that we learn along the way. And I think the documentation there just might be a little bit better. As far as the vendor life part of it goes, most of the videos that you've seen so far have been things that I recorded last summer and I've just now put out there. Obviously in March, our season starts to pick up for that, assuming everything goes well and shutdowns are all lifted. At that point, you're going to see a lot more content as far as that goes. So I know that side's kind of dormant right now, but again, once the season picks up, I think it'll get much, much better. The In the Shop series, that's just, projects around the house, and that's what we're working on today. So if you saw the last 2 videos, I had a problem where I pulled this motorcycle out of storage for a couple of years. It didn't want to start, and then the brake lines collapsed on it, so I couldn't get it to roll around, and those problems have all been fixed. So today, we're going to put it back together. Got a bunch of parts stacked back there behind it, all the body work and the fairings and the bags and so on and so forth. When I get that all put back together, and I'm going to do an oil change on it, and hopefully by the end of the day, it'll be a riding bike. See, today's Friday, so and it's New Year's Day, so then hopefully maybe by Monday, I can take it to the tag office, get it inspected, insured, and actually have it street legal again, which is my goal. What I'm going to try to do here is a time lapse. I know that some of the footage I've done, I'm not quite sure I like the way it's coming out, and I'm experimenting with stuff, so we're going to try a time lapse on here and see how that works, and that way you're not seeing all the little boring stuff and me sorting through nuts and bolts and so on and so forth. So just keep on watching, and hopefully we'll go from there. All right, everyone. So all in all, that went back together pretty well. Ran into a few challenges that you may not be able to see with the time lapse, but if you recall, when I was taking the front fender off to do the brake lines, we had a problem with a fastener extraction we had to do. So I had to find some other nuts and bolts and everything to make everything work right. And I was able to. I keep a whole bin of miscellaneous stuff here that worked out well. Had to re-zip tie up some lines and found some drain hoses that were pretty dry and cracked, so I went ahead and replaced those while we were at it. Got it warmed up and running, and getting ready to change the oil on it. If you notice the lights went out on that, it's because when I was running it, I could see that the right-hand side exhaust pipe was starting to glow pretty red when I was running it at a high idle. So I couldn't tell whether the left side pipe was glowing the same as the right side pipe was. The way the lighting is in here, it was really hard to tell. Of course, the glowing is hard to see in brighter light anyways. So I shut the lights off to see if they looked fairly even, and they did. And I don't know if that came out on camera because I haven't watched it yet, but they were glowing pretty good in red, but it's far enough away. It may not have showed up good on the camera. We'll just have to see when I go to edit the video. So we're gonna go ahead and get this oil draining and then fill it back up, and maybe we'll get to out and do a road test today. All right, now the oil's draining out. So we're just gonna let that sit and drain all the way. Then we'll fill it up with some fresh, good new AMS oil. Okay, so I believe we've given it adequate time to drain. So before I fill it up, just wanted to go over a couple things. The drain plug, Allen type style, it's 8mm. Now I use these Allen type sockets. It fits up in there nice and neat. Now the O-ring was pretty much destroyed on it when I pulled it out, so I went ahead and put a new O-ring on it before I put it in. The oil filter that we're using is the AMS oil. It's the EAOM 122. And as I mentioned earlier, the size of it is the same exact size for the filter wrench that fits the Harley Davidson. So, well, most Harley Davidsons just say. There are a few off-brand Harley filters that do take a different size oil filter wrench, but for the most part, they're this. And I believe this is, don't quote me, it could be like 73 or 74mm is the correct one there. Now the oil that we're going to use, the AMS Oil V-Twin 20W50, it's an MCV is the part number on it. It is the same exact oil that you'd use in the engine on a Harley Davidson in most cases. Even though this is not a V-twin, it's a parallel twin, but the concept is relatively the same. It's still air-cooled, still needs the same type of protection, so this is the best option for that particular choice. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get the drain plug put in, get the new oil filter put on, and then we can just fill it up, and we should be done with this project for the day. And I like to fill the oil filter with oil before I put it on. Minimizes the time that there's no oil pressurized in the system. And because this filter goes on straight up and down, you can pretty much fill it all the way up. Not like on the Harleys where it goes sideways. You end up spilling it all out if you fill it all the way anyways. Again, lubricate the O-ring. And then just thread it in. All right, well, it's as easy as that. Now, in general rule, you don't need to use a tool to put an oil filter on. It's typically be by hand. However, the way this particular motorcycle is designed, there's like it's a recess that the filter goes up into. So none of the filter actually protrudes lower than the oil pan of the motorcycle. So you physically can't get a hold of it. You can spin it on there, but once there starts to get tension, there's no way to grip it. So you pretty much have to use an oil filter wrench in this application to get the oil filter snug. So all that's left is to pour the oil in it, let it run. All right, so now we've moved over to the left side of the motorcycle, and on the BMW, the oil fill plug is on the top of the valve cover. It's just a little quarter turn twist, pops right out of there, and you can pour the oil in right here. Now this bike takes approximately 4 quarts. There is no dipstick. There is a sight glass on the side of the engine down low. Once we get about 3 quarts or so in there, I'll show you that. All right, so I got 3 quarts in there right now, and it's still at the very base of the window. And that window is a good inch thick, so definitely got a ways to go. All right, so we're a little bit over 3.5 quarts, about 3 3/4 actually. And I can see that level coming up in there. So I'm gonna take you off of the tripod so you can kind of see what I'm looking at there. Now hopefully you can see it with the flashlight in there. But there's the window, and you can see the oil level. Try to get this light a little bit better. There we go. So right there, we're in that safe zone. I don't know that we need to put the rest of the cord in, but we're gonna go ahead and run it for a few minutes and then see where it is. All right, so we're just gonna give it a few minutes for that oil to settle and level out, and we'll check it again. All right, so I added the remainder of that cord in there, and it brings us right back up to the level we were at. So we're gonna call that good. I was planning on taking this out for a ride today, kind of do a good test ride because it hasn't been ridden in a long time. I say that I did run it up the street about 1 mile about a month ago with the front brake lines all disconnected and stuff. I just used the rear brakes, so I didn't want to go very far. But I'd like to put a real road test on it. However, the storm has come in today, and it's really, really windy outside and raining terribly, so everything's muddy and mucky, so we're gonna have to put that off. Sorry about that, my air compressor's kicking on. So all in all, I think we're just gonna call that a close of this video. So again, I'd like to thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave comments if you wish. And until the next time I see you, keep those engines running.